Now, this isn't a video to bash anyone or put anyone down in any way or discredit anyone or, belittle anyone, undermine anyone. I don't want to give off that impression whatsoever. But this video is about accountability, especially as young black men and as well as older black men, and especially as fathers. There's just a level of accountability that we have to begin to accept and take uh, in order to break cycles and start some type of recovery and rehabilitation and healing process amongst fathers and their children. Um, there's always um, a lot of pain and trauma that resonates in relationships involving parents and their children that never usually gets worked out or never gets hashed out because of lack of acknowledgement on both sides or one side. Um, there's just a lot that goes into a relationship between a parent and a child that a lot of respect involves. And I think that because of a lack of respect that a lot of people in the older generation have in general for the younger generation, um, there's always a conflict and a void there. And the communication between the two usually suffers because of that as well. So it's like nothing ever really gets effectively handled or changed or worked out. It's usually just a huge void and huge disconnect somewhere that keeps a lot of understandings just become misunderstandings, and nothing just really changes. Um, but a lot of it really just has to do with accountability. Uh, Sometimes there's so much guilt on someone's conscience that it's hard for them to truly and openly be able to accept what was done, what was said, what was inflicted. Um, it's hard for a lot of people to truly grasp that whole, okay, my actions cause someone else um, harm and pain and agony and trauma. And I'm just not ready to completely, you know, take accountability for that. And I think because of that mindset and that mentality that's, swarming so many men, black men especially, within the communities is it was just never shown. It was never exemplified before us because of the poor efforts and decisions of our own fathers. Um, because of that, there's a very low level of communication between most black fathers and black sons. Um, Sometimes we forget, that so many of these young black kids and young black boys in the black communities just simply don't have any type of guidance or any type of father figure, um, and it's a direct reflection of why they're so chaotic, to say the least, in the streets and in the schools and in the jails. Um, the lack of communication between older black men and younger black men is tremendously suffering. Um, I am trying to find better ways to avenue and kind of figure out just how to close that gap a little bit, close that disconnect a little bit, um, and reach more of the younger people, reach more of the younger guys, uh, as well as gain as much information and knowledge from the older generation as I can. Um, but it just seems like it all boils down to accountability, each and every way you think about it, and nothing ever gets fixed and nothing ever gets changed without accountability first. Uh, and being able to recognize how you hurt someone and being able to apologize and apologize exactly for how you hurt someone. I think a lot of black men in the black communities are not ready to truly do that, and because of because there's so much pain and just years and years of stress on top of that, and having to survive and make a living and take care of families. It's life kind of gets a hold of you, and before you know it, your kids are old and older and wanting answers and apologies and explanations, and it seems that so many parents and so many old in the older generation are just simply not ready to give that, and it's unfortunate because a lot of unhealed pain and trauma just goes, you know, unanswered for, and because of that, that pain and that trauma gets unleashed right back onto, you know, people around kids, and the cycle just repeats, comes out in the relationships, other relationships, you know. Um, we try to do our best, we try to do better, we try not to repeat the same habits and patterns, but it's inevitable if we don't recognize and acknowledge and take accountability for our actions and our ways. Um, I often hear a lot of guys say that, you know, they don't want to be like their dad, and they don't want to do things he did and be the way, he was to them, and they end up doing the same exact thing, if not worse, and don't even realize it. And it's simply because they're not ready to take accountability for it. It's like they're not ready to accept, like, wow, I'm doing the same thing my father did to me, to my kids, you know. I think it's the guilt, though, the guilt and the shame. Um, when you abuse someone in any kind of way, it never goes away. It sticks until you find some type of acknowledgement from that person on how they hurt you. And if that person isn't ready to accept that and take accountability for that, it's never going to happen. And a lot of relationships come to like an abrupt halt because of that. You know, why do you think nursing homes exist? Because there's so many battered relationships between parents and kids, to the point where so many kids literally put their parents in nursing homes and forget about them, And it sounds cold and it sounds crazy, but it's like you'll never know what it is or what it was that pushed them to that point or made them feel that way or made them feel that cold or you know. And it's unfortunate because truly and honestly speaking, we're always supposed to honor our parents, and we're always supposed to be there for our parents and love our parents and respect our parents no matter what. And I'm wholeheartedly behind that. There's just times that's tougher than others to remember that because of the lack of accountability that an individual can portray. I'm at a point in my life where it's like I want to be around nothing but genuine, sincere people, genuine, sincere, honest people. And I expect that out of the ones that claim that to love me the most, I expect that out of them the most. And I guess sometimes I learn that you can't always expect everything from everyone. You kind of have to meet people like where they're at sometimes in order to have any type of understanding or comprehension of just exactly where they're at, and where they're coming from and their level of accountability and level of responsibility. And I've come to notice people that don't have too much to be responsible for aren't really that accountable either. But it's really all a decision. It's all a lifestyle. It's all habits that turn into a lifestyle. Little habits that build up to a lifestyle every day, routinely, consistently. That's the only way things change, little by little, piece by piece. But if people aren't willing to acknowledge it piece by piece, it's never going to fit to a bigger picture. It's never going to make a bigger picture. We're never going to see a solution. We're never going to find a connection. I didn't know who else to talk to, so I just decided to talk to YouTube. And I really, truly appreciate YouTube giving me a chance to truly express myself and say what's on my mind about different things that I feel like is truly affecting the black community. I don't know any other platform that I would really truly be able to reach so many different individuals at the same time. Um, I really truly believe that there's a lot of things that black men and black women as well, black soldiers, period, had to endure in the United States Army that goes unsaid and goes unsung, goes untold, just brushed under the rug. And I feel like so many brothers and sisters just never had the right person or the right platform to really express what's going on and how they're, treated, talked to, or discriminated against and overlooked. Um, I think that's why, what leads to so many black soldiers eventually just getting out uh, is just lack of feeling wanted and belonging and supported, and the training that you go through to train for combat is something really no human being should be exposed to or have to endure. And because of it, uh, all kind of things, all kind of symptoms progressively increase over time, and all kind of vaccines and antibiotics that we were injected with throughout the years, we have no idea what it really was doing to us at the time or what it can do to us now or later in life. Um, but I'm almost for certain everyone who went in, no matter what color you are, whoever you were before, you're not the same person now in any way and in every way. Um, there's just so much you endure and have to run into as a black person in the army. It's like you're already perceived and stereotyped in such a way that already puts so many other certain groups of people and certain individuals on edge and in a superior mindset already. It really didn't depend, it really didn't matter about rank, and E5 will still feel like he's superior over a black first sergeant, like he'll still have some type of superior mindset, and because of the ignorance and the lack of knowledge of cultures and races and different ethnicities inside the army, because of that, there's a lot of racial discrimination and racial division that thrives and plagues the army. You can go to any unit, you can go to any fob, you can go to any base, and you'll always see the black soldiers with the black soldiers, Hispanic soldiers with the Hispanic soldiers, and the white soldiers. So you'll always see that. It'll always be divided, and it's usually because of racism. It's really just that simple, and that psychological torture every day, day in and day out, is a lot to handle, and it's a lot to balance and juggle when you constantly have to deal with so many other things already. It's like having to deal with racism and discrimination was just an add-on to already everything you already had to deal with being a soldier and having to hold a certain standard and conduct yourself a certain way every day, day in and day out. It's like feeling like you didn't have the same support and the same help and the same resources as a soldier that looked different than you was a very demoralizing, discouraging feeling at times, and it didn't necessarily make you feel wanted or like you belonged. Putting yourself through all that crazy training and giving so much of yourself emotionally, physically, psychologically, uh, running into racism And everything that comes with that was just a cherry on top, really. When you come from different backgrounds from all over the world and all over the country, and you put all those backgrounds in one place, and they're not familiar with each other, it's almost like being in the army, being in the military gave you a glimpse on a smaller scale on how the whole country is as civilians, as regular society. It's like you get a glimpse in the military, and I can't really speak for every branch, you know. I'm not necessarily. I mean, I know that racism has its presence in all branches in the whole military, but uh, in the army, seeing how things were structured and how things were ran and who was in different positions of power and who had the final say so, it kind of gave you a glimpse and how everything was structured and how everything was dispersed and communicated. It gave you a glimpse on why the society is the way it is in the civilian world and why things are so divided and profiled. So it's like being a black soldier meant you had to go above and beyond. You had to be a superhero. You had to do everything perfect. You had to be the best. You had to get the best numbers to even be looked at twice and respected once. I know that was a heavy burden for a lot of soldiers to endure. Um, on the positive, upside of things, it's like you learn a lot about yourself. Uh, you learn a lot about people. You know, you learn a lot about just critical thinking and understanding your surroundings. Of course, it's great networking. You meet a lot of people. You learn a lot about weapons if you're into that kind of thing. You know, um, I think you learn a sense of brotherhood. Most importantly, you learn a sense of brotherhood and just what it means to have someone's back and have someone have yours and be accountable and be responsible. When you're training for combat, you're training for life and death, and you always want someone who has the best interests at heart for you, having your back and watching your back. You know, so it's amazing to see some of the bonds that are created and started, throughout trainings and throughout the military. A lot of guys really take it all the way, take it to the max, and become such great, prominent, prestigious soldiers, and really grow and learn and really just have such a great career. And for some guys it works. For some guys they're able to get through and um, make it all worth it. And I admire guys like that. I commend guys like that because that takes a lot of willpower. I feel like it takes a lot of mental toughness. I feel like to be able to endure and block out, everything else and still be able to stick with it and go through the trainings and just give so much of yourself, year in and year out. It says a lot and it means a lot. But I just didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to get used up, chewed up, and spit out year in and year out, and still have to just give so much of myself physically and psychologically, and not be fully there for my family later on in life. I think a lot of good soldiers are in the military. There are a lot of good people in the military. Not everyone is bad. You know, there are a lot of helpful, informative, knowledgeable people in the military. That's for sure. And it was a blessing for me to be able to meet so many people like that. You know, from day one to the final day. It was definitely a blessing, and I truly appreciate everyone whoever has helped me and who has ever reached out and or gave me advice or a lot of good guys and women, a lot of good women. It's very unfortunate how so many things can get affected, disrupted, and interrupted by racism. Um, it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about and don't want to face, but I think it's something that we have to kind of shed a little more light on because there's a lot of people that are in a state of hate, in a state of division from other cultures and races, and really truly don't even understand why. And that superior mindset is why, and they don't even realize it. And that's, like I said, what's disrupting and interrupting so many things is there's a group of people that feel like they are superior to another group and other groups of people, and that is causing a huge confrontation. And that's not that's not even what the Constitution and the whole concept of being free and land of the brave does. It's like that's completely contradicting to what all that is supposed to stand for and even mean. So it's like, where do we go? Where do we draw the line? It's like I appreciate everyone who's been listening and tuning in, supporting the channel. Like I said, this isn't a video to bash no one or talk down about anyone or any group or any organization or any service or branch or armed forces. Is not none of that. It's just something that I think needs to be talked about a little more amongst people, amongst especially black men and the black communities, just learning how to talk with each other and talk to each other uh, respectfully and effectively, uh, responsibly, and I feel like we can really start to grow and get somewhere as far as progressing and growing and doing what we have to do to just be better people at the end of the day. Better sons, better fathers, better brothers, better uncles, better nephews, etc. And try and reverse the tide a little bit and just make change for the better, you know. Thank you again for everyone supporting the channel, helping me cross over 1,000 subscribers and coming up on 500,000 views. That's truly a blessing to me, and I am forever grateful for everyone and everything. And truly appreciate the support. I love y'all. Thank y'all. Peace, love, and happiness. Take care.